Liz Peek, now that we're done with football, how are you?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. I have to say, I resent your piling on to my poor Giants, though.
They stink.
They are terrible. I totally agree.
Jacksonville's got to be Jacksonville, Oakland, and Tennessee now vying for the first-round draft pick. They get beat by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh,
but I
know.
was happy to see that because, I want that first-round pick.
Well, I understand that. I mean, it's just too bad because they got off to a pretty good start, and for once, the line was in good shape, defense was looking pretty good, but my gosh, poor Eli, who always looks like he's on the verge of tears. It just was really terrible. So anyway, moving on. Okay. We try to move on Monday morning.
You got to move on if you're a Giants fan. Things not working out. But look, you've won a bunch of Super Bowls, and you've been in the hunt a very long time. Here's my one Giants question: are they going to bring back Tom Coughlin, or is he? Or is
well,
he
good question, right? I mean, I don't know. I think if this season doesn't turn around, he's gone. Don't you?
I don't know. I doubt it. I think you give him one more shot. I mean, he's won 2 Super Bowls with him.
True,
so,
but what's going on out there now is really management issues. It seems to me. I mean, bad. It looks to me very poor coaching. I mean, they're just sort of not doing the basics, and I don't know. I mean, if somebody has to take the fall for that, it seems to me. But I don't know as much about it as my husband, who's a real expert.
Oh, your husband's an expert, right? Okay.
But I grew up watching the Giants. I love the Giants, and I hate to see them. I hate to see them play badly. If they lose, fine. But if they play badly, that's just discouraging, and they are.
They actually stink. So,
yeah.
Let's get your thoughts. This new Republican Congress coming in, Liz. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, look, I think the leadership has made it pretty clear that they don't want to engage in the kind of tactics that got Republicans into really deep hot water last time round on this budget fracas. They're going to have to figure out very soon now how they're going to work out this appropriations bill, omnibus bill. Democrats want to see everything in place for a year because, of course, they're losing control of the Senate and they're sort of losing control of the process. The Republicans are going to have to deal with some voices in the House that really want to make a very public stand about the immigration move that the president has made. And I think that's understandable. I think, what you really want to wave your arms and yell and scream and say this really shouldn't be happening. But as well as I, the pitfalls there. I mean, the Republican brand never had worse polling than it did after the whole government shutdown argument the last time round. And going into 2016 and looking back at the midterms that were just concluded, it's pretty clear that Republicans have a shot at improving their standing with the Hispanic voter. I mean, we did a little better in the last election, and historically, we've actually done pretty well with Hispanics from time to time. George W. Bush comes to mind. But so the question is, do you really want to torpedo that process and progress coming into the possibility of winning the White House for the first time in a while, for sort of point of principle? I don't think so, and I think there are better ways to deal with it, but, there's some pretty hot-headed guys in the House, and they're going to want to make some noise.
How do you think the Republicans should deal with Obama's amnesty action a week ago?
I think that, I mean, trying to diffuse the anger at him, the truth is a lot of what he did in that bill was pretty much part of the bipartisan bill that passed the Senate, right? Yeah. In other words, most people feel that people who are illegal immigrants who've been in this country for a long time, passed certain hurdles, etc., should be allowed a path to legal status. And that's basically what the president did. By the way, what the president did was pretty awful, really, because it's just a temporary fix. It doesn't really solve anything for people here without papers because, and it's the same issue that arose in the wake of the DACA, the sort of mini DREAM Act in 2012. Right. The reality was the number of people who came forward and signed up for that was very disappointing. Well, why would they? I mean, they don't know whether it's going to last 1 year, 6 years. I mean, to get all your information out there, which is what is being required, when you don't know whether the next president might come in and say, "Oh, I rescind this order. We're going to go back to the way things were." I don't think too many people are going to want to do that. But in any case, it was a terrible move. It just sort of red flag. I honestly think it's one of the worst things that Obama has done as president, because I don't know about you, but it seemed to me that we're all sort of suffering battle fatigue in this country. Everybody sort of hoped that after the midterm elections, yes, of course, we're not going to agree on everything, but at least there might be some settling down of the political discourse, that we might actually move towards tax reform or even immigration reform. And now it's sort of like, did he really have to do this? No, it's discretionary in the extreme. And I am bitterly resentful of it. So I understand why these guys in the House want to make some trouble. I don't know that I would make it here. I think there are other things you can do going forward, such as sending the president one bill after the other that he doesn't want to sign, but that's popular in the United States, like the Keystone Bill, best example, and just put him on the hot plate for a while.
Let him veto them all and defend the vetoes. I think that's exactly what the Republicans should do, and I think they ought to be drafting those now, so that as soon as the new Congress convenes, they just start sending them up, a flurry of them, one after the other after the other. Remember, I know you're a student of history, Liz Peek. Go back to 1975. Gerald Ford comes in as president. Democrats control the two houses, right? The Democrats absolutely determined to get a Democratic president elected in 76. Now, this is way before Carter was a nominee or anything else, all right?
Right.
They sent Gerald Ford bill after bill after bill that he kept vetoing and vetoing and vetoing to set the stage for the 1976 campaign, which Carter ultimately won. Same strategy. Send them up there. Let Obama veto them all. You're not going to be able to override them, fine. But you kind of set the stage for 2016. You set the stage for the battle. Now, the other issue I want to get your comment on is I'm not a Tea Party conservative. Everybody knows that. I'm center right. But Obama's action, and this goes to what you said, has fired me up. And now I want to fight the guy on everything.
Exactly. So how counterproductive was this, right?
Totally.
But intentionally so. Because, look, the Democrats have been very successful in the last 10 years, I would argue, at creating the narrative. The narrative is that the Republicans are the party of obstruction. So here we are on the brink of doing exactly what you and I would like to see them do, pass a lot of bills. People forget that the House has passed 160 bills in the last few years that have not gone to the Senate because of Harry Reid. That's not obstructionism. That is being obstructed. But nonetheless, the whole country thinks of Republicans as only saying no. So here we are teed up to have a progressive, excuse the word, 2 years where Republicans push things to Capitol Hill pushes them to the president, and what does he do? He basically steps in the way of that. Very smart move politically, could not be worse for the country, and it ain't great for Republicans. So I think your historical analogy is completely brilliant, and I think that's exactly what they're thinking about. And it's just very. It's going to be very hard for Boehner, particularly, to navigate his way towards the right outcome. I kind of think he will. I think that the House it will go along with, figuring out what aspects of the spending bill maybe can be tweaked or whatever to sort of indicate annoyance. And by the way, I want to come back to that. But basically, let's get through this spending thing, and then let's just put pressure on this president like there's no tomorrow, because I think that's going to be very positive.
Back with Liz Peek. So, Liz, let me just ask you this. So we've got a funding issue now. Some Republicans saying, we're going to have to play chicken with the president in shutting the government down again over a number of issues. How do you think this plays out?
Well, interestingly, what some Republicans in the House want to do is basically defund the immigration services and just not allow this processing of 4 or 5 million people to go forward, right? Just not make the money available. the Immigration Services has come back and pointed out they have no way to do that because those activities are funded by fees that are collected by the government, so that Congress really has no say in that. Another point of view has just come in, basically, in the last 24 hours with some group, and I'm not sure whether it's a legal organization or whatever, saying, on the contrary, even fees collected by the government are under the sway of Congress. So I think there will be some discussion and debate about removing those monies from the omnibus bill, and that could happen. We could see, a defunding of that particular activity, which I think would be viewed by the country. I don't know, but I think it would be viewed by the country as sort of mean-spirited and sort of narrow. If you want to protest something, let's not make it impossible for the Immigration Services to do their job. Let's actually wait until we have a Congress that's Republican and fix this thing for real, because this is not a real fix, and we all know it. But I wanted to go back to, because this issue of the funding for the immigration move is kind of interesting, because in one of our local papers there was talk about how money is being set aside to cover the fees and help with the back taxes that a lot of these applicants are going to have to come up with. I'm not sure about the back taxes, but I'm quite sure that the fees are going to be either donated by private groups or possibly government funded on a local level. I think that's highly questionable, right? I mean, one of the ideas here is, okay, get right with the law, get right, prove your worth to society, if you will, by being able to come up with $150 or whatever the fee is. I think it's more than that, actually. And sort of pay your way into society. I don't think people are going to really be very comfortable with the idea that the local governments are funding that.
I don't think they are either. We want to thank Liz Peek. We're out of time. You can follow Liz on Twitter @LizPeek or read Liz. Go to lizpeek.com.